A Prairie Home Companion is brought to you by Yoplait. With 72% of adults not getting enough calcium, Yoplait is the yogurt with calcium and vitamin D in every cup. Products, recipes, and health information is online at yoplait.com.
Well, it's been a quiet week in Lake Wobegon, Minnesota, my hometown, out on the edge of the prairie. It's been absolutely gorgeous there. It's been gorgeous just like it is here today. Temperatures in the 70s and blue skies and the smell of lilacs in the air. It's just perfect days that 2 months ago we would have spent a king's ransom to go elsewhere to find. And now here it is on our doorsteps, delivered to us free. So we feel sort of sheepish about what we did back in March. It's like buying a car when you know that in a couple months your uncle is going to leave you one. And why did you do that? Giant June bugs flying in our town, golf ball-sized June bugs flying around, and they hit the screens hard. It's scary for people who are lying awake at night, as many people are when the weather is so good. They don't feel right about sleeping, about wasting even an hour of this gorgeous weather. Marilyn Hedlund was out in her porch. She was unable to sleep, and these June bugs were dive bombing at her, and it was a shock. You jump back. So somebody's shooting at you. She was unable to sleep because of Roger's machine, which he wears for his sleep apnea now, his CPAP machine, the continuous positive airflow passage machine, which helps his apnea. CPAP also stands for the Center for the Prevention of Alcohol Problems, which actually she's a little more worried about than she is about the sleep apnea. Ever since she discovered this rather large empty bottle of Southern Comfort out in the barn, he never has had anything to drink in the house. She asked him about it. He denied knowing anything about it. Denial. That's the first indication of a problem. So she's been watching him very closely, and she conducts breath tests from time to time. She walks up to him with no warning, and she kisses him hard on the lips, and she puts her tongue into his mouth. And he says, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" "Just checking," she says. "Just checking." The Sorensens were unable to sleep for days before the wedding of their daughter, Jeannie Sorensen, in Lake Wobegon at the Lutheran Church this last Wednesday. She had come back from Arizona, where she'd been living for a few years. She met her fiancé, Charlie, at this camp up in Sedona, the Sunrise Center for Reincarnation, which is it's the only clothing-optional Lutheran Bible camp in the country. The Sorensens did not know that when they sent her off there. But there, under sort of primitive conditions, she met Charlie, and they fell in love. It's a whole other branch of the Lutheran Church. It's the painted desert synod of the Lutheran Church. I come from the petrified forest synod of the Lutheran Church, but it's Lutherans whose faith journey drew them out to the desert, and there they worship creation and the higher power who is within us all and which can lead us all to peace and to harmony, though there was not much of that on display when the mother of the groom arrived in town and she wanted to take charge of this wedding. Ramona was her name, a large woman, and somewhere back in the past she decided that since she was so big, she may as well be the center of attention. So she wears these enormous dresses which represent the evening sky over Arizona, and she wears 20 to 30 pounds of jewelry that jingles on her, and she was there with her current husband, Mr. Moonbright, and she went to see Pastor Liz at the Lutheran Church, and she had an armload of books about spirituality, and she offered them to Pastor Liz, who looked at them and said, "I'm sure they're very interesting, but I already know how to conduct a wedding. Thank you very much." Well, Ramona said, don't you want to know more about the people who you will be marrying? Yes, Pastor Liz said, I would like to, as soon as I can meet with the two of them alone whenever they would like to come down to see me. And so they did. Ramona was excused. Charlie and Jeannie met at this Sunrise Center, and there were things that they wanted for their wedding. Like so many people who are marrying young, they have no idea the sort of conflict they will face. And Pastor Liz thought it her duty to provide a little conflict in the planning of the wedding. Groomsmen in cowboy hats? Yes, that's fine. That's fine. Sure. A horse, riding a horse into the sanctuary? No, not even to show our union with all of creation, no. You can keep the horse out in the parking lot. That's for the party afterward. We have certain things that we observe in the Lutheran Church. We have our own traditions. Jeannie said, I want to bring these two traditions together. That we're going to have a big barbecue roast in the parking lot, roast a pig, and there would be a corn fertility dance in connection with it. But there would also be lime jello, and there would be tater tot hot dish, and so you'd have a little bit of the best of them. Drummers, you want drummers? Well, maybe we'll think about that. Flutes would be okay. What kind of music do you want? I mean, we don't want the drummers to be the center of things. And this is about you too. This is about the two of you. This is not about drummers. Drummers tend to take middle stage. Well, they said we wanted the drummers because we want liturgical dance. Pastor Liz shuddered at the phrase liturgical dance. To Pastor Liz and to most Lutherans where I come from, the phrase liturgical dance gives you a bad case of the yips. It means very skinny women in long flowing dresses who are running around with their arms in the air and enjoying it much more than anybody else. Liturgical dancers and their close personal friends love liturgical dance, and for everybody else, it's just a case of worship being carried over into show business. No. No liturgical dance, thank you very much. So they talked about what scriptures might be read, and they settled on the love chapter from Corinthians and something sort of squishy from the Gospel of St. John. And that was all fine. And so, okay for the wooden flutes to play, as long as they play something that has to do with the Creator, not just creation. So they'll play the earth and all the stars. If they'll play a little bit of Amazing Grace, that would be good as well. You want to dance? Charlie, you want to dance for the bride? Well, let me see it. So he showed her his dance, which was kind of disco yoga. And okay, that's fine. You can do that. You cannot wear that headdress. But you can dance that dance. But you're going to only have 3 minutes. And if you go longer than 3 minutes, I'm going to cut you off. And believe me, I'm good at cutting people off. I know how to do it. So they did it. They wanted to have it on the night of the new moon. That was Tuesday, but they couldn't do it that night because the altar guild already had dibs on the church. So they had to do it on Wednesday. And it went off pretty smoothly. The only real trouble was over the use of refrigerator space in the kitchen. Lutheran women are very proprietary about who gets to put what in their refrigerators, and they discovered this enormous earthenware bowl of sauce for the roast pig, and nobody had asked their permission and reeked of garlic. And so they just took it out and they set it down on the back step, and there it was for about 36 hours, and the people from Sedona decided they were going to put it on the pig anyway, and was it still good? We didn't know. So they put it on the pig. Had it gone bad? We weren't sure, You'll find out pretty quickly if it went bad. You may not find out for a long time if it's really good, but it's sort of like marriage itself. in that way. So it was a beautiful summer week in Lake Wobegon with just enough excitement for us. The fireflies were out at night, and the sweet smell of lilacs and the strawberries are starting to ripen, and you can smell them in the humid air. Roger discovered he was going to have to go down to the cities and have aortic surgery, the kind where they take the heart right out of you and they set it down on a table and they do stuff to it. So he was resigned to that. And the Andersons' dog was located. It had been missing since late Wednesday night, and Ramona and Mr. Moonbright had taken it to Sedona. The dog was wandering around. They thought it was a lost dog because it had no tag on it. But we don't have dog licenses in Lake Wobegon. They said the dog seemed eager to go and jumped into the car. And so the dog is living in Arizona now, which the Andersons are not so sad about. The dog was more her idea than his. And it was a dog named Carl who slept in the bed with them. And they only have a queen-size bed. And this dog was a big dog, and it had dreams about chasing something at night. And it kicked them a lot, and it drove them off to the sides, and they clung to the edge of the bed and woke up exhausted in the morning. And now the dog is gone to Arizona, and that whole middle of the bed is wide open if the Andersons should choose to move into that territory. That's the news from Lake Wobegon, where all the women are strong, all the men are good looking, and all the children are above average.